Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Daily English Lab podcast. Here's something that will blow your mind. You can have perfect grammar, excellent vocabulary, and clear pronunciation, but still sound nothing like a native English speaker. Why? Because there's one fundamental rule that native speakers follow unconsciously that schools never teach. It's not about learning more words. It's not about memorizing more grammar rules. It's not even about perfecting your accent. It's about understanding the single principle that governs how native speakers actually construct sentences and express ideas. I've taught thousands of advanced English learners, and the moment they understand this one rule, their English transforms overnight. They stop sounding like textbooks and start sounding like real people. They stop translating and start thinking like native speakers. In the next 25 minutes, I'm going to reveal this rule and show you exactly how to apply it so you can finally speak English that sounds natural, fluent, and native-like. Ready to discover the secret that schools never teach? Let's unlock it together. Hey everyone, welcome back once again to the Daily English Lab podcast. I'm your English coach, and my mission is to help you break through the final barriers between good English and truly fluent, native-sounding English. So, let me set the stage. You've probably studied English for years. You understand complex grammar, you know thousands of words, you can read advanced texts. But when you speak, something still feels off. You can hear the difference between your English and native speakers' English, but you can't quite pinpoint what it is. Here's what you're missing. Native speakers don't build sentences the way textbooks teach. We don't think about subject, verb, object. We don't consciously apply grammar rules. We follow one overarching principle that makes our speech sound natural. And once you understand this principle, everything changes. Today, I'm going to teach you the one rule that governs native English speech. It's called thought chunking or information packaging, and it's the difference between sounding like you're reciting learned phrases and sounding like you're naturally expressing thoughts. We'll break this down into 5 key applications. First, how native speakers group information into manageable chunks. Second, how we front-load important information. Third, how we use fillers and discourse markers naturally. Fourth, how we emphasize what matters and de-emphasize what doesn't. And fifth, how we create flow and rhythm that makes speech feel effortless. This is 25 minutes that will fundamentally change how you approach speaking English. By the end, you'll understand exactly why your English doesn't sound native yet and how to fix it. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments, what do you think makes native English speech sound different from non-native speech? I'm curious what you've noticed. And if you're ready to finally crack the code of native-sounding English, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. This is the kind of advanced content I create to help you reach true fluency. All right, let's discover the one rule schools never teach. The one rule that governs native English speech is this. Native speakers chunk information into meaningful, processable units based on complete thoughts, not grammatical structures. We speak in idea clusters, not word by word or according to formal grammar rules. When you speak word by word or break sentences at grammatical boundaries instead of thought boundaries, you sound mechanical and robotic. But when you chunk speech the way natives do, you suddenly sound fluent and natural even if you make small grammar mistakes. The biggest mistake learners make is breaking sentences in the wrong places. They pause where commas are in writing, or they pause after every few words to think. Native speakers pause between complete thoughts, creating natural rhythm and flow. Real-life examples. Let me show you the difference between grammatical chunking and thought chunking. Grammatical chunking, wrong. Yesterday, I went to the store because I needed to buy some groceries for dinner. That's 7 chunks pausing after grammatical units. It sounds choppy and unnatural. Thought chunking, native. Yesterday, I went to the store because I needed to buy some groceries for dinner. That's 2 chunks, 1 complete thought per chunk. Much more natural. Another example. Grammatical. The movie that we watched last night was really interesting but a little too long. Thought-based. The movie that we watched last night was really interesting but a little too long. 3 thought chunks, not 5 grammatical chunks. The flow is completely different. One more. Grammatical. If you want To improve your English, you should practice speaking every day. Thought-based. If you want to improve your English, you should practice speaking every day. 2 thought chunks. The first chunk is the condition, the second is the recommendation. Native speakers group related ideas together. Here's a complex example. Grammatical. The reason I didn't call you was because my phone was dead and I couldn't find a charger anywhere. Thought-based. The reason I didn't call you was because my phone was dead and I couldn't find a charger anywhere. 3 thought units. The topic, the reason, and the additional detail. Much more natural. Let's practice thought chunking. I'll give you a sentence and you need to identify where the natural thought breaks are. Say it out loud, pausing only at thought boundaries. Sentence. When I was younger, I used to play basketball every weekend with my friends from school. Thought chunks. When I was younger, I used to play basketball every weekend with my friends from school. Try this sentence. She told me that the meeting had been postponed until next week because the client couldn't make it. Thought chunks. She told me that the meeting had been postponed until next week because the client couldn't make it. Practice reading passages aloud and marking where you would naturally pause, not where commas are, but where complete thoughts end. This trains your brain to think in chunks. Think of speech like breathing. You don't breathe after every word or after grammatical markers. You breathe between complete ideas. Your speech should follow the same natural rhythm. One breath, one thought. Another breath, another thought. This creates the flow that natives have. I once worked with a Chinese student named Wei who was extremely intelligent and had perfect grammar. But when he spoke, it sounded like he was reading bullet points. I, think, that, we, should, consider. The alternatives before, making, a decision. Every few words, a pause. We worked on thought chunking. Instead of pausing constantly, he learned to say, I think that we should consider the alternatives before making a decision. 2 thought chunks, 1 speech act. His fluency improved dramatically, not because he learned new grammar, but because he reorganized how he packaged information. Quick question. When you speak English, do you pause a lot while thinking of words, or do you try to speak in longer bursts? Let me know in the comments what your current speech pattern is. Thought chunking is the foundation, but there's a second application of this rule that native speakers use unconsciously. We front-load the most important information, and if you don't do this, your English will always sound non-native even with perfect chunking. The second application of the native speaker rule is this. Native speakers front-load important information. We put the main point first, then add details. Non-native speakers often do the opposite, giving context before the point, which sounds unnatural in English. English is a front-loaded language. The most important information comes early in the sentence or conversation. If you bury your main point at the end after lots of context, you sound indirect, unclear, and non-native. Learners often translate their native language's information structure into English. Many languages are context first, then point. Japanese, Korean, Hindi, and many others work this way. But English works differently, and if you don't adapt, you sound off. Let me show you the difference between backloaded, non-native, and front-loaded, native information structure. Backloaded sounds non-native. Because I had to finish the project and the deadline was today, and I didn't have time this morning, I couldn't come to the meeting. Front-loaded sounds native. I couldn't come to the meeting because I had to finish the project and the deadline was today, and I didn't have time this morning. See the difference? Native speakers put the main point first, I couldn't come to the meeting. Then we explain why. Non-natives often give all the reasons first, then the conclusion. Another example. Backloaded. Since I was very tired and had a headache and didn't sleep well last night, I decided to stay home. Front-loaded. I decided to stay home because I was very tired and had a headache and didn't sleep well last night. Main point first, what you decided, then supporting details. Business example. Backloaded. After reviewing all the proposals and meeting with the team and considering the budget constraints, we have decided to go with option B. Front-loaded. We've decided to go with option B. We reviewed all the proposals, met with the team, and considered the budget constraints. In professional contexts, natives get to the point immediately, then justify. Personal story example. When I was walking to the store and it started raining, And I didn't have an umbrella. I got completely soaked. Front-loaded. I got completely soaked when I was walking to the store and it started raining because I didn't have an umbrella. Result first, circumstances second. Let's practice restructuring sentences. I'll give you a backloaded sentence. You rearrange it to front-load the main point. Backloaded. Because the traffic was terrible and there was an accident on the highway, I was late to work. Front-loaded. I was late to work because the traffic was terrible and there was an accident on the highway. Try this one. Since I haven't been feeling well and the doctor told me to rest, I won't be coming to the party. Front-loaded. I won't be coming to the party because I haven't been feeling well and the doctor told me to rest. Practice taking your natural speech and consciously moving the main point to the front. Over time, this becomes automatic. Think of English conversation like a news headline. Headlines don't say, "Due to various economic factors and market conditions, the economy changed." They say, "Economy changes due to market conditions." Point first, reasons after. Apply this headline principle to all your English speech. I coached a Japanese businessman named Takeshi, who always started with context before getting to the point. In meetings, he'd say things like, "Considering the market research we conducted last month and the feedback from the sales team and the budget limitations we discussed, perhaps we could think about option A." Americans would get impatient waiting for the point. We restructured his speech to, "I recommend option A. Here's why. Market research from last month, sales team feedback, and our budget limitations all support this same information but front-loaded." His American colleagues started perceiving him as more decisive and clear. The change in respect was immediate. Question for you. Does your native language put the point first or context first? Let me know in the comments because this affects how you need to adjust your English. So, we chunk by thought and we front-load main points. But there's a third element that makes native speech sound fluid and natural: discourse markers and fillers. And yes, you should be using them despite what your teacher told you. The third application of the native speaker rule is strategic use of fillers and discourse markers. Native speakers use words like, you know, I mean, actually, basically, not because we don't know what to say, but because these words serve important functions in organizing and clarifying speech. If you speak English without any fillers or discourse markers, you sound formal and rehearsed, like you're reading a script. Native speakers use these strategically to buy thinking time, emphasize points, soften statements, and guide listeners through our thoughts. The mistake is either avoiding fillers completely, making you sound robotic, or overusing them randomly, making you sound uncertain. Native speakers use specific fillers for specific purposes, and doing this correctly makes you sound more natural, not less. Let me show you how natives use different discourse markers and what they signal. Like, for approximation or examples. I woke up at like 7:30. Approximate time, casual speech. She's like super smart, emphasizing a quality. It's like when you try something new and it doesn't work, introducing a comparison. Native speakers use like constantly in casual speech. It's not wrong, it's natural. You know, for shared understanding. I was so tired, you know? Assuming the listener understands the feeling. You know how sometimes things just don't work out? Appealing to common experience. This creates rapport and makes speech feel conversational.
I mean, I like her. She's nice, but I don't think we're compatible. Honestly, I don't know what to do. Actually, I thought it would be hard, but actually, it was pretty easy. Actually, I changed my mind. Basically, what happened was we ran out of time. It's basically just a matter of practice. Well, let me think about it. Well, let me think about it. Native speakers use these constantly, and it makes speech sound thoughtful and natural rather than rehearsed. Let's practice using discourse markers naturally. I'll give you a statement, and you add an appropriate discourse marker. Statement: I thought the movie was okay, but it was a bit long. With marker: I thought the movie was okay, but it was a bit long. Statement: the meeting is at 3. With marker: the meeting is at like 3 o'clock. Casual, approximate. Or, actually, the meeting is at 3 o'clock, correcting a misconception. Try creating sentences with you know, basically, and well. Practice makes these feel natural rather than forced. Think of discourse markers as road signs in your speech. They tell the listener what's coming. Actually signals a correction. Signals clarification. Basically signals simplification. You know signals shared understanding. Using them appropriately guides your listener through your thoughts smoothly. I had a German student named Anna who spoke perfectly grammatical, flawless English, but she sounded like a robot because she never used any fillers or discourse markers. Every sentence was precise and complete. I encourage her to watch casual English YouTubers and notice how they speak. She was shocked by how much like, you know, and I mean appeared. At first, she thought it was bad English, but I explained these words serve communicative functions. She started incorporating them gradually, and within weeks, people started telling her, "Your English sounds so natural." Same vocabulary, same grammar, just natural discourse markers. Be honest. Do you avoid using words like and you know because you think they're wrong, or do you use them naturally? Let me know in the comments what your relationship is with fillers. We've covered thought chunking, front-loading, and discourse markers, but there's a fourth crucial element: knowing what to emphasize and what to de-emphasize in speech. This is what creates the melodic quality of native English. The fourth application of the native speaker rule is selective emphasis. Native speakers don't give equal weight to all words. We emphasize content words that carry meaning and de-emphasize function words that just hold the sentence together. This creates rhythm and makes speech easier to understand. When you emphasize every word equally, you sound monotone and robotic. When you emphasize random words, you sound confused. But when you emphasize strategically like natives do, your speech gains natural rhythm and becomes much clearer and more engaging. Learners make 3 main mistakes: emphasizing every word equally, emphasizing the wrong words, often function words instead of content words, or having no emphasis pattern at all. All 3 make you sound non-native.
Real-life examples. Let me show you the difference between flat emphasis and native emphasis. Flat, every word equal. I went to the store to buy some milk. Native emphasis. I went to the store to buy some milk. Notice how natives emphasize the content words store and milk and rush through the function words to, the, some. This creates rhythm. Another example: flat. She told me that the meeting was canceled. Native. She told me that the meeting was canceled. Content words get emphasis. Function words get compressed. Here's a key principle. When you emphasize something, you're telling the listener this information is important or this is new information. Emphasizing different words changes meaning. I didn't say she stole the money. Someone else said it, not me. I didn't say she stole the money. I'm denying that I said it. I didn't say she stole the money. I said someone else stole it. I didn't say she stole the money. Maybe she borrowed it or found it. I didn't say she stole the money. She stole something else. See how emphasis completely changes the message? Native speakers manipulate emphasis to convey precise meaning. Another example of strategic emphasis: correcting information. The meeting isn't on Tuesday, it's on Thursday. You de-emphasize the wrong information and emphasize the correction. Expressing emotion. That was the best movie I've seen in years. Emphasis shows enthusiasm and intensity. Contrasting ideas. I like the idea, but I don't love it. Emphasis highlights the contrast. Let's practice emphasis patterns. I'll give you a sentence and you identify which words should be emphasized. Sentence: I need to buy some bread and milk from the store. Emphasis: I need to buy some bread and milk from the store. Content words: bread, milk, store. Function words: I need to buy some and from the. Try this. She said that we should probably leave around 7:30. Emphasis: she said that we should probably leave around 7:30. Practice reading sentences aloud and consciously emphasizing content words while de-emphasizing function words. Record yourself and compare to native speakers. Here's the rule. Emphasize nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, content words. De-emphasize articles, prepositions, pronouns, and auxiliary verbs, function words. Think of content words as the skeleton of your message. Function words are just the connective tissue. The skeleton needs to stand out. I worked with a Korean student named Ji-yu who had perfect grammar but sounded very flat. She emphasized everything equally, which made it hard to follow her speech. We worked on emphasis patterns, and I had her practice exaggerating emphasis at first. I went to the store to buy some bread. It felt unnatural to her because Korean has different emphasis patterns. But after 2 weeks of practice, her English suddenly had rhythm and melody. People started complimenting her on how native she sounded. She told me, I finally understand why English sounds like music. It's the emphasis. Challenge question. Can you identify the content words versus function words in your own speech? Try recording yourself and analyzing where you put emphasis. Share what you discover in the comments. We've covered chunking, front-loading, discourse markers, and emphasis. There's one final element that ties everything together, creating flow and rhythm that makes speech feel effortless. This is the ultimate mark of native-level English. The fifth and final application of the native speaker rule is creating overall flow and rhythm. This is where all the previous elements combine to produce speech that sounds effortless, confident, and natural. Flow and rhythm separate intermediate speakers from advanced speakers. You can have all the technical elements right, but without flow, you still sound like you're working hard to speak. Native speakers make English sound easy because we've mastered flow. The biggest mistake is speaking too carefully, monitoring every word, which destroys flow. Another mistake is speaking too quickly without proper pausing, which creates choppy speech instead of flow. Real flow comes from confidence, natural pausing, and connected speech. Let me show you what flow actually means in practice. No flow. I think that we should go to the movies maybe tomorrow if you are free. Choppy, hesitant, lots of pauses. With flow. I think we should go to the movies maybe tomorrow if you're free. Smooth, connected, confident.
Flow involves several elements working together. Connected speech. Words linked together. Did you becomes didya. Wanted to becomes wanna. We covered this in previous videos, but it's essential for flow. Natural pausing. Pausing at thought boundaries, not mid-thought. This gives speech rhythm without breaking flow. Consistent pace. Not too fast, not too slow, and not constantly changing speed unless for emphasis. Confidence. Not second-guessing every word. Even if you make small mistakes, continuing confidently maintains flow. Here's an example of native flow in a natural monologue. So yesterday, I went to this new restaurant downtown, and honestly, it was amazing. The food was incredible, the service was great, and the atmosphere was just perfect. I mean, I've been to a lot of restaurants, but this one really stood out. I'm definitely going back soon. Notice thought chunking, front-loading, main point first, discourse markers like honestly, I mean, emphasis on key words, and smooth connections between ideas. That's flow. Compared to non-native speech without flow. So yesterday, I went to this restaurant. It was new. It was in downtown. The food, it was very good. Also, the service was good. And the atmosphere, I liked it. I have been to many restaurants, but this restaurant was special. I will go again in the future. Same information, completely different delivery. The second version lacks flow because it's choppy, overpauses, and doesn't connect ideas smoothly. To develop flow, practice speaking for 60 seconds on any topic without stopping. Don't worry about making mistakes. Focus on keeping your speech moving forward. If you get stuck, use a filler, like, to keep going, but don't stop completely. Try this. Talk for 60 seconds about your morning routine. Keep it flowing, use thought chunks, front-load your points, use natural emphasis, don't stop. Do it right now, out loud. How did that feel? Probably uncomfortable at first, but this is how you build flow. Confidence plus technique equals natural flow. Think of speech like a river. Rivers flow continuously, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, with occasional rocks, emphasis, and curves, pauses, but always moving forward. Your speech should feel the same. Keep it moving. Don't dam it up with excessive hesitation. One of my most dramatic transformations was with a Russian student named Dmitry, who was incredibly advanced in reading and writing, but couldn't speak fluidly. Every few words he'd pause to check his grammar in his head. His speech was technically perfect, but painful to listen to because there was no flow. I gave him an assignment. Speak for 5 minutes every day on any topic, recording himself with only one rule: don't stop. Even if he made mistakes, even if he forgot a word, keep talking. After 1 month of daily practice, his flow improved dramatically. After 3 months, people started asking if he lived in an English-speaking country because his flow was so natural. The key was permission to prioritize fluency over perfection. Final question for this main content. Do you focus more on accuracy or fluency when you speak? Which do you think is more important for sounding native? Share your thoughts in the comments. You now understand all 5 elements of the one rule schools never teach. But before we finish, I need to warn you about 3 critical mistakes that will prevent you from actually applying this rule successfully.
Now that you understand the one rule and its 5 applications, avoid these 3 mistakes that sabotage even good learners. Mistake number 1, trying to apply everything at once. You just learned thought chunking, front-loading, discourse markers, emphasis, and flow. Don't try to implement all 5 elements simultaneously in your next conversation. You'll overwhelm yourself and speak worse, not better. Instead, pick one element to focus on for a week. Maybe this week, just focus on thought chunking. Next week, add front-loading. Gradually integrate these elements until they become automatic. Trying to do everything at once creates cognitive overload and makes your speech worse temporarily. Mistake number 2, prioritizing perfection over flow. This is huge. Many learners stop mid-sentence to correct themselves or to find the perfect word. This destroys flow completely. Native speakers make small grammar mistakes all the time, but we keep talking. We prioritize maintaining flow over perfect accuracy. If you make a small mistake but keep your flow going, you still sound more native than if you speak perfectly but choppily. Let yourself be imperfect. Flow matters more than accuracy in natural conversation. Mistake number 3, not recording and analyzing yourself. You can't improve what you don't measure. Record yourself speaking for 2 minutes about any topic. Then listen back critically. Are you chunking by thought? Are you front-loading main points? Are you using discourse markers naturally? Is your emphasis on content words? Does your speech flow? Compare your recording to a native speaker talking about a similar topic. Identify specific differences. Then practice addressing those specific differences. Without this analysis, you're guessing about what to improve. Let's recap the one rule schools never teach and its 5 key applications. The one rule: native speakers chunk information into meaningful thought units and package it for natural, flowing communication. Application 1, thought chunking. Group words into complete thoughts. Pause between thoughts, not within them. This creates natural rhythm. Application 2, front-loading. Put your main point first, then give supporting details. English is a point-first language. Application 3, discourse markers. Use fillers like, you know, I mean, strategically to guide listeners and create natural speech patterns. Application 4, emphasis and de-emphasis. Emphasize content words, de-emphasize function words. This creates the melody and rhythm of native speech. Application 5, flow and rhythm. Combine all elements with confidence and connected speech to create effortless-sounding English. Master these 5 applications and you'll finally sound like a native speaker, even if your accent isn't perfect. You just discovered the one rule that schools never teach, the fundamental principle that separates textbook English from native-sounding English. Here's your action plan. Pick one of the 5 applications and focus on it exclusively this week. Leave a comment telling me which one you're starting with. Thought chunking? Front-loading? Discourse markers? Let me know. If this video finally explained why your English doesn't sound native yet and gave you a clear path forward, smash that like button and subscribe. Next week, I'm revealing advanced vocabulary strategies that will make you sound more sophisticated without memorizing lists. You don't want to miss it. Remember, speaking like a native isn't about perfection. It's about understanding how natives naturally organize and deliver speech. You now have that understanding. Go use it. Stop sounding like a textbook. Start sounding like a native speaker. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep chunking, keep front-loading, and keep flowing toward fluency. Let's master native-level English together.